I never really found her that attractive. I liked her. I kind of liked her energy at the beginning, so I give her a B. In terms of actual character, though, she deserves a D. Rukia is a D. I'm gonna get a lot of hate in this video. Hello, guys. Today, we're talking about Bleach because Bleach is back. Not only is the anime coming back, but also the manga just released a special chapter that takes place after the events of the official manga ended, and we are getting more Bleach, guys. Like, if you grew up watching Bleach and then it was in the mid-2000s, like, this is a really important moment for us. So today, I'm going to be ranking Bleach characters by their attractiveness because I have to, you know, like, they're beautiful characters. There's so many beautiful, beautiful characters. Kubo really blessed us. I mean, just look at this cover, look at this. But also by, like, just their powerfulness, like how great of a character they were and things like that. Trying to mix it all up to see what tier they deserve to be in. We gotta start with Ichigo. And I chose this picture of Ichigo specifically because it's literally the best one. So in terms of character design and attractiveness, S tier. Because we all remember that freaking, what episode was that? I think that was the first episode. I don't know, like the first few episodes of Bleach when he was helping Chad out and he was gonna beat up those delinquents and he called the ambulance. That was so cold. He was like, I need an ambulance, not for me, but for all y'all, because I'm whoop that butt. And he did, and he just stuck to his word, and he kind of reminded me of like a new wave Yusuke. He does lack a lot of story and like character growth, really. He just doesn't really have a personality, he kind of just accepts things as they are, and he doesn't really, you know, he's not like literally the best character ever. Like, he's lacking a lot of things. In terms of looks, S tier. In terms of actual character, he's about a C. And a lot of people might come for me for this, and I don't care. Ichigo's a C. Like, he's just not that great of an actual character. But he looks good, so we're putting him in S. Also, I went on Tier Maker, and they did not already have a list for Bleach, so I felt offended. Like, I feel personally disrespected that there was not a Bleach list already made. How are you gonna have Naruto and One Piece like lists already made, but not Bleach? People just act like Bleach was not part of the big three, and I'm really upset about that. This is gonna be a nostalgia trip for my Bleach fans. Hopefully you should have read the manga. If you have, this is definitely for you because I'm gonna be talking about some spoiler things from the manga as well. Some characters that have not been shown in the anime yet and are probably gonna be shown in this next revitalization of the anime that's coming out sometime this year or next year. I really don't know. They keep playing with our minds and not telling us when. Moving on to Orohime, who gets a lot of flack because she's Orohime. Like, you know, she's the Sakura, the Ochako, you know, she's the girl who's just in love with the main character. She can be annoying at times, but Orohime, I like to try to defend her because at least she was trying to do stuff. Like, she was in situations for the most part, and she was actually helping out. Like, especially in the beginning of Bleach, in that first arc of Bleach when they were actually in the real world, and she got her powers with the little, those little fairy things, I forgot what they're called. But when she got those powers, she was actually helping people. She was learning to actually defend herself and help other people. And she was really coming out of her shell, and I appreciated that. And then we had that whole arc where she got kidnapped, and even though it was a little bit annoying that she, you know, got kidnapped and they had to go save her, and she purposely wanted to be kidnapped because she knew that she was protecting everyone. At least she chose to do that herself. Like, at least she wasn't just taken. Like, they gave her the option and she decided to go because she wanted to protect everyone and she wanted to be strong. So I like that about her character. And even though everyone's really bitter that Ichigo chose her and not Rukia at the end, even though did he really choose her? Because we didn't get to see that because, you know, they forced Kubo to finish the freaking manga way too early. I think she deserves an A. So, for attractiveness, she's a beautiful character. Gorgeous. Everyone had crushes on her. She's like, look at her. She's adorable. Her hair's beautiful. She has big eyes and, like, you know, she's great. I think she deserves an A for looks, but for character, I'd probably give her a B. Maybe I should make this two different lists. Okay, this is the attractiveness list. Orohime deserves an A. This is the character list. She's a B as a character. Like, she could do more. I feel like she actually had slightly more character development than Ichigo. Like, she at least tried. People are gonna hate me. Okay, I'll give Ichigo a B. They're both Bs. And yeah, let's talk about Rukia. So Rukia, I used to love Rukia. Like when I first saw Bleach, I loved her to pieces. The first arc with her in it is really good. I like that she was just like, came in and like messed up all of Ichigo's life, but also helped him get him powers and all that, and like changed his entire world around. And she was also a baddie, you know, she was running around destroying hollows and doing great things. And then she gets kidnapped. But then that entire arc, she didn't do anything. Like, she didn't do anything. Like, they just came in and rescued her, and she didn't fight. She didn't try to, like, do anything to retaliate. She didn't try to help them. She was just there, like, being helpless and, like, why are you guys here? You know I chose this, blah, blah, blah. I just like Orohime a little bit more than Rukia, because Rukia, she pretends to be a really badass, but she doesn't actually commit to it. Whereas Orohime, she didn't pretend to be anything. She's just herself. So, you know, for attractiveness, we give Rukia. I never really found her that attractive. I liked her. I kind of liked her energy at the beginning, so I give her a B. In terms of actual character, though, she deserves a D. Rukia's a D. And I'm not mad that Ichigo chose Orohime in the end. I'm gonna get a lot of hate in this video. There's also Chad, he's okay. I was really happy that we had, you know, like a brown character from, and a Mexican, half Japanese character. That's really cool. So I think he deserves, for looks, like he was a buff guy, he was cool, and he's actually a giant, gentle sweetheart. So I think he deserves a B. Like he's good. But in terms of character, so at the beginning when they showed him, he had this whole separate power that was different, kind of like Orohime's, where it was just totally different from anything that with the Soul Society. But then towards the end, in the Fullbringer arc, you know, they made him a Fullbringer. He was actually a Fullbringer. Like, they explained his powers. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. He actually has powers. And then in the very end of the manga, they don't even really do anything with him. Like, what's the point? Why is he even there? I feel like Kubo just kept him there because he has been there throughout the entire manga, and they needed him to be there. But he didn't actually do anything. I give him a D. Okay. Back to attractiveness. Okay, Uryu now. Uryu is an annoying character. Like, I don't mind Meganes usually, like the characters that wear glasses and always like abide by the rules and are super smart and all that and pretentious and everything. They're usually okay. But Uryu used to piss me off every single time because he was just, I don't know, he was supposed to be, you know, the main rival for Ichigo, and they had that whole thing where Ichigo was like the more like bashful, running into like situations without thinking, and Uryu was more controlled, calculated person. But at the end, when they gave him that whole thing with the Quincies and he decided to just freaking forget every single thing that they've been through, like with Ichigo and all that, all the things they went through, and just push that to the side to try to like feel better about himself because he felt like he never belonged, even though he always belonged in the group with them. I was annoyed. And they never explained in the manga because they didn't have time, but I would have really liked to see like why Ryu really chose to go with Bach in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. He had more interest than Rukia and Chad, so I think he deserves to be a C as a character. In terms of attractiveness, I never found him attractive, but I chose this one picture that makes him look like pretty cool, so I give him a D. Next is Best Boy Renji. I have my pin of him, so you already know what he's gonna rank. He up an S. But in terms of character, in terms of actual character growth and like his ability to fight and all that, Kubo was always doing him dirty. Like, as soon as we're introduced to Renji and he fights with Ichigo, he loses. And then after that, he loses quite a lot. There's only a few fights I think that Renji's won, but that's not what makes him lovable. What makes him lovable is his personality. He's kind of a derp. He really cares about Rukia, even though Rukia is blind as a bat. Doesn't deserve, to be honest. And he's just great. He's a pineapple head. He as a character, I think he deserves to be equal with Ichigo. And Renji's really similar to Ichigo in personality. They have really similar types, and I think that was kind of the point of it. They were supposed to be kind of similar to each other. So yeah, in terms of attractiveness though, definitely an S tier, because that's he goes before Ichigo actually. I wish I can switch on me. Oh yeah, I can. That's my baby. I love him. Anyway, Orohime. Let's talk about Orohime's character. Orohime is actually a really interesting character. I love the characters that are like, they're funny and kind of like supposed to be some kind of comedic relief, and they're dorky and they're kind of pervy a little bit, but they actually have this deeper, crazy backstory that like that is underlined in everything that they do and every major event in the story. And Orohara's storyline really aligns with every single event in the main story of Bleach. As a character, Orohara was really interesting. I like that he always came up with something. He was always able to help the characters, and sometimes he was responsible for like the bad things going on as well. So he was just always interesting, and even though he's a minor character or side character, he always had something to like add to the series. I feel like we should have had more of that for like the main character, for example, for Ichigo, but whatever. I mean, there was that, but it just wasn't tied together as well as Orohara's story, I think. Okay, attractiveness though, that bucket hat. He is C. I don't know. He just looks like a hippie. I just don't know. He reminds me of what's his name? Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. So Byakuya is everyone's favorite. Everyone loves Byakuya because he's Byakuya. He has beautiful long hair. You know, if we go back to the Inuyasha days when Sesshomaru was the thing, Byakuya came along and stole that role essentially for those girls. Byakuya was cool. I've never really been like into him like that, but he was really pretty character. Like he's gorgeous. So I think he deserves an A because, you know, people like him. But in terms of character, he was okay. He was also the one who was always just like trying to abide by all the rules, even though he himself broke the rules. So he was a hypocrite to me. Like, I don't know why he broke the rules to save his girlfriend, who ended up dying anyway. And then when his sister, who his girlfriend like told him to watch over, was going to die, he was just like, nah, I'm not gonna break the rules anymore. Like, what? Like, someone's gonna die, and someone you care about is gonna die. You're not gonna break the rules anymore? I don't know. That just bothered me. So he deserves... he's like a C. I feel like he did have a better backstory and character development, though, throughout the series. Because he was a bad guy, and then he did turn good and go on the side of Ichigo and the others. So I give him a B. I feel like he has as much character development as the other characters on this list. I feel like Orohime, actually, she didn't have too much of a story, so I feel like she's a C. S tier, obviously. Yurichi as a character, S tier, obviously. Well, okay, maybe A, because she, at least, too, she also had more of a backstory. I feel like she could have had more. She didn't have nearly as much as Orohara, but she was a way more interesting character because she was also kicked out of the Serete, and, like, but still went back to help them. So it's like, they just had this weird dynamic that would have been really cool. I feel like this would have been a better story almost than Bleach. Like, if we just followed Orohara and Yurichi, rather than I feel like Ichigo could have been one of them, and then we could have seen, like, his fall from, you know, Soul Society, his fall from heaven, and then on Earth. I don't know, it could have been a totally different story, but Yurichi's great. I love that she was a cat at first, and then she turned into this beautiful woman, so yeah. Obviously, she's S tier for... Honestly, you know what? We're gonna do this. Add a rope of... Yurichi gets her own tier. Okay? She's Yurichi. Like, what more do you want? Next up is Toshiro Hitsugaya. I chose the kid image because that's the main one that comes up. But we know that when he turned into adult, that one time when he did Bankai, his like super extra Bankai in the 1,000-year Blood War arc. I'm gonna put it somewhere up on the screen for y'all to see. That deserves an S. That deserves an S. He was beautiful. He's amazing. As a character too, I love his little tsundere personality. Who else? Rangiku is S tier. Yes, ma'am. She is beautiful. She is also that type where she's like the older lady type who drinks a lot and kind of like the big sister, like One-chan type. She's great though. Besides her giant eyes, she's just a great character. She really stuck by each of her people. She sticks with Toshiro. She stuck with Jin, even though Jin was on some crazy-ish that they barely explain. Like, apparently he wasn't even bad. He was trying to be good. But because he was always the bad guy. He continued to be the bad guy or whatever. I wish I wanted to explore like her relationship with Jin more. I feel like that could have been a bigger part of both of their story arcs, but you know, Kubo, I don't know, they rush him through a lot of stuff, so I ain't gonna fret. As a character, honestly, Rangiku was a great character, but they could have done more with her. So I'm like, I give her a C along with Orohime. I feel like a lot of the women characters didn't get that much love in terms of actual story. They all had to do with men. Like Orohime was in love with Ichigo. Rangiku was, I guess, looked up to Gin, and then when she wasn't with Gin, she's always at Toshiro's side. And then Rukia and Ichigo and Renji is just a mess, so whatever. Soy Fong, though, is a baddie. I love her. In terms of love, she deserves her look. I don't know about like the little twisty things that are on her thing, but I give her A. She's attractive. She looks like a little cat. And in terms of character, I like the backstory that they have with Yoruichi and how she was trained by her and then she was betrayed, and I think she had a pretty good backstory, so I think she deserves... Dang, I feel so bad putting all the women in C tier for story and character development, but you know, that's just where they gotta go. At least they look great. Yoruichi deserves an A though. Honestly, she could have had a whole story by herself, but whatever. Jin tried to have a redemption arc, and you know, he's the type of character that like as soon as you look at him, you know he's bad, but then he's probably bad because they're gonna try to switch something on you. So when that plot twist actually happened where he was actually trying to be a decent guy and take out Aizen, it just did not work. Like, it didn't work. It just didn't. like I was just like, oh, okay, he's actually supposed to be a good guy, but who freaking cares? So he gets a D because that just annoyed me. Honestly, I'd rather he had just stayed a bad guy and they didn't try to redeem him, even for Rangiku or whatever type of relationship they had. I'd rather he had just continued to be a bad guy, because he continued to do bad things even though he said he was doing it because he wanted, that's like all he could do. Like, he just knew he was a bad guy. Like, I was like, you could have tried harder. So he deserves that. In terms of look, oh god, I just don't. It's so creepy. Look at his face. Look at that smile. I can't. Okay, Kenpachi though. Kenpachi, let's talk about Kenpachi's character first. Kenpachi as a character is I love his backstory with him and Yachiru, and like how Yachiru saved him when she was like a little girl, you know. And their little relationship, it's really cute, it's wholesome, it's adorable. It's funny to see this big old macho guy with this little girl, like, you know, being best friends and doing crazy stuff. And Yachiru, of course, is like super badass. She's like this crazy, she has this crazy power, and it has something to do with stuff that's towards the end. I don't, it's not that I don't want to spoil it, because I've already spoiled some things in 1,000 Year Blood War arc, but I don't remember exactly what she did. But for a long time, she was gone in that arc, and then she kind of came out of nowhere and had some crazy power. So she's, I'm not talking about Yachiru. I didn't add Yachiru to this list because we're ranking by attractiveness, and I don't want to put a child on this list. So she, Kenpachi had a great backstory. I love his backstory. I love the whole fight that he had with Unohana too, and that entire part was beautiful. And he's just a cool character because he was the one who can't control his energy, or yeah, his soul energy, kind of like Ichigo. But he doesn't have all this crazy extra stuff that Kubo added to Ichigo to make him different. He was just like a regular person. So I think he deserves, okay, A for sure. He is definitely A tier backstory. Kenpachi on here though, my friend would put him at an S for sure, but I'm gonna put him at an A, or maybe a B, because even though I chose this picture specifically because he looks great in it, the other ones I never really saw it for me. Like his hairstyle, I just thought he was cool. I was like, okay, he has a cool hairstyle, you know, he stands out, he has these little bell things, he's crazy, but he a little frightening. So he might be a C, but okay, I'm gonna put him as a B because this hairstyle is at least a B. This regular hairstyle though would be a C. Ikkaku is A for sure. I love him in terms of attractiveness. In terms of character though, Ikkaku's actually a good character. C. That's all I have to say about him. He's a bald He's baldy, he's a little mean, a little grumpy. But he was alright. Yammy Chica too. Yammy Chica is beautiful. So Yammy Chica also deserves an A. He's about a C. I like that they gave them a lot of screen time because they were really good characters and they're really good dynamic. And I love that they're in Kenpachi's group because you would think that these two, like one's really like masculine and evil, or not evil, and like always in your face, and the other one's kind of like more feminine and but still a badass. So they fit in Kenpachi's group pretty well. So I think they deserve a C. I like that they gave him a lot of screen time. Shuhei, I think he is a good looking character though. A? I give him a B. And then for character, he was really close to Tosin, and like that breaking his heart was pretty sad to me. So I give him a B. Shinzui turned out to be a really important character towards the end of Bleach, so I think he deserves an A. And I loved his backstory. I like the whole concept with him and Nanao. I like that he ended up taking over everything after Old Man Yama kicked the bucket, and yeah, A for sure. He's a good character. Attractiveness, S, because look at that. Look at the beard. I don't know. He was like supposed to be a player too. You can tell. But it's just something about that curl and the beard. It's just, it does it for me. We're gonna put him there. And we're gonna put his assistant, Nanao, I think. She's kind of boring, so I'm gonna give her a D. Sorry for people with glasses. Nothing against glasses. It's just these two characters with glasses were just not that interesting to look at visually. As a character though, I liked her. She can be a C. Old Man Yama really messed stuff up. We don't know a lot about his backstory though, so A. But he was really powerful, and I liked that they gave him his whole entire like arc and thing. Even though it was towards the end of his life, we got more information on him. He wasn't just a hard ass. He actually had reasons for protecting Sarah and like he really took his job seriously. He was a good person. He is not as creepy as Dawn or Gin for sure, so he definitely deserves D tier. Hana, Queen. I chose this regular looking of her, but in that one part in the manga when she's fighting Kenpachi, she's beautiful and scary as heck. Like she's frightening, but in a beautiful way. So I think she deserves A for sure. As a character, like I'm mad that we only got that part of it. Like she was hiding something the whole time, and we finally get to see it. Of course, it's at the end of her life. So she had a super interesting backstory. I want to give her A because she had a really crazy backstory, and like it was really cool. I think her fight with Kenpachi was one of the highlights of Bleach. Momo was so boring, but I added her to this list because she was a main part of that first arc, and she kind of was in the second arc too. So Momo deserves like at least an E, and everyone really cared about her. Like Toshiro was after her, and Kira was after her. Like they're all trying to help her, and I was just like, why? Look at her. She's so boring. She doesn't do anything. She didn't do anything the whole time. So she's just as low as Dawn, honestly. She didn't do crap. Kira, I mean, he was betraying everyone at first too. He was on the side of bad, but he did come back and be a decent person, and I did see him in the new chapter, so he was looking good. So it's just this the bang, the bang doesn't do it for me, but I know what he looks like in the newer thing, and he looks pretty cool, so I will give him a D. I don't know, I kind of mess with this ideology a little bit. Like I understand, but I don't know. At least he's stuck with being evil, he didn't try to say that he was trying to do good. Actually, no, he did try to say he was trying to do good, didn't he? He did Shuhei kind of dirty, so I'm gonna give him a C. And that other dude that was the fox, I forgot his name, I didn't put him on this list. The fox-headed dude, he did him dirty too. Like all these people that were there for him, and he was just like, nope, I don't trust y'all. I'm gonna go do evil with Aizen. But I don't blame him, it was Aizen, so he a B in the manga. He's definitely a B in the manga. Ukitake is such a sweetheart. Next up is, the best of the best. Aizen. Aizen is S tier story-wise, and he is S tier. Oh, not Yuriichi tier. No. He is S tier attractiveness as well, because he was. Since his plot twist happened at the beginning of the story, when you really watch Bleach, you're thinking like, oh, okay, Aizen's a decent guy. Like he's cool. He's a captain. People look up to him. Momo was looking up to him. He was protecting them all and stuff. And then out of nowhere, he takes his glasses off and like completely flips the Serite like upside down. He like really has the power, and he can manipulate people, and not only like psychologically, but literally manipulate their vision with his Bankai, which is really cool. And he has so much spirit energy. He's a king. He's just, I understand why everyone like went with him. I understand why all the Ronkars worked with him. I understand. He is S tier. His backstory and what his ideals were and everything he wanted makes sense. He's S tier in both levels. Kuretsuchi, in terms of looks, he's this weird hybrid, whatever the heck thing he is. He's like a cyborg, but he's not made of mechanical parts. He's made of spirit energy parts thing. And I don't understand what like the mask thing on his faces and the gold teeth. I don't know what the inspiration was for his character design. It's pretty cool. Attractive though? No. But him as a character and his background with Orohime, I give him an A. He is a really interesting character. Had one of the best backstories in Bleach for sure. Ishin also, well, of course he's gonna be S tier in attractiveness, but Ishin Kurosaki, Ichigo's daddy, is the daddy. He's gonna be an A in terms of backstory as well. I wanted more of him, and I'm mad that they had to cut his story so short every time, because they always would show a glimpse of him in some sort of situation that has something to do with Soul Society, and then they would take it away. And I don't know if they ever went into like a ton of detail on what happened. Oh, they did. Never mind, they did. They explained why he decided to stay on Earth in the 1,000-year Blood War arc. So he had good backstories, and I like how Kubo connects each of the parents of like the main characters, like of Ichigo and Uryu together, and like connects it to the entire story as a whole. So he's cool. He's also a daddy, so he S tier. Okay, he's A tier at least. I like that. This is the gruffiness of his beard, and he's also really funny. He's a great character. Okay, this is Zangetsu, the hollowified Zangetsu. So Ichigo's Zanpakuto, and he goes into it and he's trying to get control of stuff, and he's trying to get control of his hollow and stuff. This is like the altered version of him, which I want to keep because he's a cool character, and he had like great lines, even though it ended up not really being him. It was an interesting twist on that. But I liked this like inverse look at Ichigo's character. So I think he deserves A for character. He was really cool. That whole speech with the king and all that was amazing. And then in terms of looks, he looks like Ichigo but evil. So like a sinister Ichigo. But it's not creepy like Gin. But he kind of does look like Gin. But for some reason, it just does it for me. I guess I'll give him... Is he more attractive than Ukitake? I feel like he's... Just because it kind of reminds me of Gin, I think I'm going to give him a C. There's a lot of characters. Ganju, which is Kukaku's younger brother. In terms of looks, he had D. But in terms of what he did in the story, I feel like he's just as important. He was actually more important than Kukaku. Ulqiorra, and now we're talking about Arankar, so... Yes, Ulqiorra, my goth king, is gorgeous. Look at his face. He's beautiful. I almost want to give him his own tier. Because look at him. He's beautiful. Like those eyes, his character design, amazing. His fight with Ichigo, fan-freaking-tastic. I want to give him an S. It was like the peak Bleach when the fight with Ichigo and Ulqiorra took place. But Grimmjow's an S tier for sure. Look at that smile, that half hollow thing, the hair, the blue hair. King. Story was good. Him as a character, he was a really likable character. Okay, Ichigo can go to B. Dang it. Because I can't just put him on the same row as Ganju. That's terrible. Okay, yeah. Grimmjow's A, though. He was a great character. Hilarious. He's always coming back. He had his own reasons for doing things. He wasn't on anybody's side. He was just like a wild spirit. Nell. S tier in terms of look. I'm talking about the adult. Her adult form. You know, her actual form. She was turned into a kid, but she's actually an adult, so she's S tier. That's the reason I added her to this list. Do not put me in jail. Nell also, I mean, she helped. She was a really, that one fight was really good. I don't want to, how, she deserves a B for that fight. That time she fought back against the Ronkars. That was a good fight. Okay, I think her name's Tyr. She's in a Ronkar. She didn't have much, like, screen time, but she was a beautiful character. Like, S tier for character design, like, gorgeous. Like, her whole setup, her whole, like, look was beautiful. One of the best outfits, even though it was, like, half an outfit. In terms of character, though, she was barely there. She had E. No, she's better than Momo, though. She was a D. Yammy was annoying as heck. He was so annoying. I'm so glad they took him out. Kenpachi, I think, and who else? I think it was Kenpachi and Byakko who took him out. But he was a major Ronkar. He was notable. He had D, because at least he was thick. But Ichigo's mom, if you read the thing, Ichigo's mom is also beautiful. So she's prettier than Rukia. She's going up an A. Oh, yeah, beer. Yeah, they had a great backstory. I want to see more of their backstory, honestly. Okay, now we're to, who are they? The Quincies. This is 1,000 Year Blood War arc only, so super major spoilers for that. Bach, I think I'm saying his name right. In terms of look, that mustache though, I just can't. But in terms of backstory, he was cool. He had a great backstory. I think it was parallel to Aizen. I love that they had them kind of go against each other at the end, or used Aizen to go against him. And he actually had some really interesting concepts and philosophies about the Soul Society that make sense now that the new chapter is out. So he was a really cool character. I'm glad that they decided to explore the Quincies more. And then Bazz, in terms of looks, I love him. I just love the mohawk. I love like the energetic characters like that. His eyebrows, his entire backstory was pretty cool too. I'm surprised that he even got a backstory because in the amount of time that it took to close up the last few chapters, but he deserved it. And Bazzy's backstory was with this guy who I cannot remember his name, but he was also Quincy and he was all for Bach. So in terms of looks, he looks like a prince. So he had A. But in terms of backstory, he had a cool backstory. Yeah, I give him A. And lastly is Uru's dad. Uru's dad is the only one with glasses who actually is really attractive. So yay. And he actually ended up being in the story a lot, so I think he's also A. With Ishin and Ichigo's mom, Misaki's, and all that. They had a really interesting backstory in the 1,000 Year Blood War arc. So I like that. And that is the end of this list. So in terms of attractiveness, we have our Yoruichi tier, our S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, E tier. This is how it is. Like, this is just what it is. And this is part of the appeal of Bleach. Anyway, the story was all over the place, but the actual appeal of Bleach was the character designs and the fighting techniques and the like zanbakutos and the whole backstory of the Soul Society and the world building. Whereas the characters and story like concepts were lacking a lot, but S tier definitely Aizen, Ulqiorra, and Bach had the best, like most interesting philosophies on the Soul Society and like the human world and souls and all that. A tier definitely for Yoruichi and Urahara. They had really interesting backstories for Soul Society, and these characters also had good enough battles and reasons for the things that they did. Whereas these characters just felt blah. Like, they could have done better, honestly, with their character design, especially since these were the main characters. Like, Ichigo and Renji should have had a way better, like, character growth. Like, their personalities really were not developed enough for me. They had, like, you know, cool lines, like the one with Ichigo. Renji, you know, he had a great personality as well. He's very likable. But what they did with that in comparison to, like, the world that they were in and how they fought and everything and, like, you know, growing as people, it's very lacking. Yeah, but I put Rukia in D. She just has so much potential. And I feel like also now in the newer arc, she wasn't really in it. And they might continue to do the same thing that they did with her in the other parts where they just push her to the side. It's like she's the one who started all this. She's the one who brought or like awakened the Soul Reaper powers in Ichigo Kurosaki, and then she gets put on the back burner. Like, she deserves to be a better character. She deserves S tier, honestly. She could have had a really amazing backstory. But they reduced her to a D because she's just just end up being a background hoe, and it's sad. It's a really sad situation with Rukia. I feel bad for her, and I wish better for her. Anyway, this was way too long. This is the end of this video. If you want more videos like this, please let me know in the comments down below. I will be putting out more Bleach videos soon, and I'll be putting out more videos about popularity of characters and attractiveness and all that. They're gonna pop up somewhere on the screen. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Phoenix, and I'll see you in the next one. Please read Bleach if you haven't already. Read it.